Visions of a different dream, and it's what I said. A shifting geometry of me, inconspicuous walls that stood around me. Silence, Lord, after a connective apathy finds me. Without life, I right to life. Without life, without life, without life.
The Dolby Vision popping, I'm the colorist on top. Film density so heavy, it's like I'm never gonna drop. Grading scenes with precision, making colors vivid through the darkest corners. My art, you must admit it, no ordinary gangster. I'm a colorist on the streets, I mix the hues and shades, making visuals complete. From the darkest shadows to the brightest sunlit sky. Paint a masterpiece, that's what you can't deny. Ain't no match for my grading skills, I'm the champion. Like a visual illusion, I'll leave you in a trance, man. With magic on the screen, I create a sensation. The colors that I manifest, they cause a revelation. Step into my sweet kids where the magic happens. Balancing the tones, I control the captain's cabin. Highlights popping, mid-tones just right. Black so deep, they like the dead of night. I bend the gamma, curve the line. Craft every shot to look so fine. Rep 2020, wide gamut in play. Ace pipeline, set the visual array. Colors so real, they stretch beyond the norm. In Rep 709, I standardize the form. Log profiles give the latitude I need. Crafting colors like the visuals lead. Color wheel spinning, it's a visual feast. In the booth, I'm a beast. On the screen, a masterpiece. Contrast, high shadows deep. Got the look so sleek. Every frame, every scene, make the color speak.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I always forget that fucking thing. Stream is over. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Cult of Color. My name's Joe, aka Nomad. I'll be your colorist for the evening. What's fucking going on? I see Bartman Dude in the chat. Jumped from like literally 0 people to 4, so thanks for joining us this evening. Everybody having a good time? I still have not gotten out and flown yet. Thunderstorms this week, but also ridiculous heat. So doing my best to survive. Still cranking out the music. That's about pretty much all I can do. I do have kind of something special for you guys tonight. We're going to talk about LUTs. But I want to illustrate something I've been harping on and saying over and over again, that LUTs are destructive to your footage, but there is a way to use them without being destructive to your footage. It just requires kind of a shift in the way your workflow works and the way you address LUTs. That's both like D-Log LUTs and shit like creative LUTs, like looks, right? They can be shitty LUTs, they can be high-end LUTs, doesn't matter, the same principles apply. So we'll do a little bit of that this evening. I got a handful of videos, I got a couple of my old ones, I got some stuff that I yanked off the internet. We got DJ, or Hexy FPV, I don't know if you're watching there, Courtney, but he's up first with this park ripping. With his Speedy B Master 5-inch frame, DJI 03 Air unit. So that'll be interesting to watch. Grabbed a couple other people off the internet. Going to make sure we stop by and say hi when we watch the videos. And I think that's it. Yes. So we went from 4 to 2. Super popular. Just call me bot grinder, man. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's get into it. Let me get my big ass face out the way. And I bet this opens in the wrong browser. I bet this opens in the wrong browser. Does it? Holy. So this is Hex FPV ripping in the park with his O3 air unit. Is this a Michael Jackson mashup? Phil Collins? Oh, I can tell you thought about... Oh. Spinny spin. So, Barticus, what's new with you, man? You got any videos for us this week? That area looks like Parent Central. And I know it's a school. New IT contract. A lot of time since, but I made it home on time to catch the stream. Well, I'm glad you're here, man. Very much glad you're here. You're a staple of my weekly streaming audience. So if you're not here, I'd be worried. I'd be like, is my internet down? Yes, this is Hexy. Sexy Hexy. With the Speedy B Master 5-inch frame. And the camera is an O3 air unit. Looks like it was stabilized in camera. This is a wild remix. It's not even a cover, it's a remix. It's like melding two different songs together. Hopscotch. Foursquare. Well, range doesn't appear to be an issue, especially behind you, since that was quite a ways away behind you. You got them 2 patch antennas, so it's the least efficient direction for your goggles. So what's school like in Canada without guns, huh? I don't think he can help himself, dude. Like, that's his thing. I got some car chase in one of my videos today, so... But it was the one time I've chased a car and I happened to be riding as a passenger in it. Fancy. Thanks, Mr. Hexy. Make sure to toss him a like. And let's see, next up. So we were talking last week, I think it was Hexy's buddy was doing some tilt shift effect on one of their videos. And I have kind of an extreme version of that where I actually used AI to generate a depth map. And then use that to drive the tilt shift effect in Resolve. So I just made tiny Montana kind of fun here. You guys might have seen this. I don't remember. Itsy weensy Montana. It's a weird optical illusion. And then like seeing the grass move, but it's tiny. Yeah, it does. Instead of just sort of like dragging a camera over a model. Bit processor intensive to generate that depth map, but it's a pretty neat effect. Could be better. You can see it kind of moving around. There's probably a better way to do it nowadays. I know I can use a depth map generator that's built into Resolve. But I think last time I tried that, it gave similar results. Kind of twitchy. Yeah, you know, abrupt ending. How I do. Yes. And then one I don't think you guys have seen is a kind of a supercut from my 2022 trip. I know you guys have seen the 2023 stuff and 2024 stuff, up, down, sideways, inside and out. But this was my first time being able to have drones with me while doing one of these trips. Old branding. So I was riding as a passenger. This is my very first time ever doing it. A little difficult at first, but I got started to get used to it. I can't remember all the states that are in this supercut. We did, I'll look at the description when we get out of it. We did like 17 states, I think, maybe 15 states. I don't remember. This is all GoPro Hero 10, I believe. So it was really limited on the colors. You can still see the banding in the sky. Make sure I'm not getting screwed out of 4K here. Yeah, this was really after I mean, it took me a long time to get good with GoPro footage. This is really like the culmination of when I finally figured out the GoPro sensor and its encoding profile. Learned how to mitigate low light noise to a certain degree, and do what I could with the 8-bit footage. Way back in 2022. Yeah, thanks, man. It's one of my favorite shots. I was getting murdered by mosquitoes at this point. Absolutely mauled. very close to having to grab an EpiPen. I think I only had 2 drones with me this time. It was my 5-inch Freestyle and a Recon 7. Little did I know the Recon was a hair's breadth away from failing, which it did later on in the desert, and buried itself in the sand. Took me more than an hour to find it. But I was able to recover it, and actually there was no damage to the quad. Just the GoPro's, the ND filter got trashed, but it's pretty funny. I did a kind of a funny video about it. I don't know where it is. Yeah, it wasn't like the Chimera loss. That was a complete loss. Plenty of space. I got very sunburned looking for it though. Broke the 03 line. God damn, you must have crashed hard, dude. I've busted some Vista lenses. Whenever the 03 lands, it's got that big metal, like, guard around the front element. I really haven't crashed that hard with an 03 though, so I don't know, but it seems like it's a lot more durable than the Vista lenses, the Polar Pro and the Nebula Pro, and I've never broken an arm. I have busted a motor. In retrospect, that was ballsy as hell. That was really high. It was my 5-inch with no GPS. And I think this year I did not have Express RS. I was using DJI RX, which was fantastic. It didn't die at all. Oh man. 100-foot diving into a parking lot? That sucks, dude. Thanks, dude. That's Albert Desert. Just goes on for miles. Everything looks way closer than it actually is. It'd probably take you a half hour to drive across it. Yeah. You know how I like my skies. And then, yeah. So there's that. Let me get out of that horse shit. So next up, I dropped a video from Luke Up High, Cinematic FPV Azores. I think that's a location. Let's give that a check out. So I'm hearing a little bit of sound design. Mostly whooshes as he passes by things, but no real ambience. There we go. It's cut very well. It's good editing. Yeah, that boom that he's using is a little bit overblown. I can hear some distortion. Oh, got splashed. That looks dark. Holy shit. Yeah, man, I gotta get in the habit of injecting some backwards footy. I always forget. Some heavy denoising on that clip. Nice. Let's see. 68 views 10 hours ago. Great cut. Greetings from the Cult of Color live stream. I'm sure he'll be in here any second, which I'd love to have a chat with him. Boop. Boop. Yeah. Traveling's fun, man. And if you do it right, it can be pretty cheap. I think my biggest struggle right now is my doggo. Can't really take him with us yet. We need to, we're going to do some camping during the fall when it cools down a little bit more around some local areas. Take the dog and see if we can get him used to the whole camping thing. Just doesn't try to eat people's faces off and shit. He's kind of a lot. He's a little extra. So, yeah. So next up, we got Josh Anderson with Rocky Mountain High series, mountain surfing along the western slope. I think it says it's cut off, so it says slop. I'm pretty sure it's not slop, though. Western slope in Colorado by drone. Okay. That's the thing, is I can work from anywhere. I've got mobile Starlink, so that's another thing we'll be testing. We'll be heading out into the field, one of the local camping areas, and staying for like a week. This valley looks familiar. Interesting music. This feels very, like, slow, I think. I'm not sure what he's flying. You can see where he is, though. Just feels like he should be going faster. I'm so used to the Helion, though. Definitely pushed the blues. You can tell in the sky. Looks like there's a selected blue and cyan, and really pushed them. And the cutoff between like the cyan and white is very sharp. He's got his greens on point though, so that's nice. The rocks look good too. I feel like, I almost want to feel like this is a Nevada. This feels slower than a 5-inch. I'll look in the description when the video's over and see if I can see something. I know I said that about my own video and didn't look. It's okay. You don't need to know how many states I went to in 2022. Yeah, it's a little on the bright side. I think he was really trying to save the shadows. Plus, there's a boatload of saturation in the blue channel, which doesn't help because he's at high altitude, and so he has a lot of UV leak into the image. I don't think this is a Vada. This is probably a GoPro based on the... I can see some of the wind-driven jitters in the stabilized footage, and it screams very much GoPro and not DJI. Could be wrong. I don't remember. I think it was like 15 or 17 or something like that. It was a long trip. We went the north side west, so through Minnesota and all that, out west, and then we went down south on along the coast into Oregon, then into Nevada, and from there took the southern route, or not the southern route, we took the central route back on I-80. Very cool. Let's see here. Everything's in all caps. DJ, us hearing it run. So he used a Helion 10 and a Chimera 7. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. I could tell you some free music that was interesting. Good enough. Yeah, there's a lot to read there. I don't know. It didn't feel like a 7-inch or a 10-inch. It was very slow. If you compare that to my Helion footage or even my 5-inch footage, it's really slow. Must have just flown slowly. Yeah. Oh, that's weird. Look at that. It's recommending I watch my own stream. Haha. Good job, YouTube. So that's the last one. Huzzah. Oh yeah, because you see my work email. Forgot all about that shit. Let's talk LUTs. So here I have just some basic GoPro footage. It's been gyroflowed. Is that really necessary? Okay. It's been gyroflowed. Blah, blah, blah. You've all seen this clip. If you haven't, you ain't been watching my channel if you haven't seen this shit, so. But we're going to talk about LUTs. And there's two primary types of LUTs. There's a technical LUT and there's a creative LUT. And the most people, and this isn't really focused on drone footage, it just so happens that the GoPro has a log profile, and they also gave what turned out to be, now they've updated it, a pretty decent D-Log LUT. So if you're running a Hero 12 and you're recording in GP log, the D-Log LUT is not bad, but you got to use it in a certain way. So what I'm going to do in this little exercise here, we're going to illustrate why LUTs are destructive, why you want to address them in a certain manner so that you can maintain your signal integrity until the time you actually deliver your video. So here I have two inactive nodes, and I actually haven't applied the LUT to that yet. So let me just grab this D-Log LUT. So that actually looks pretty good, right? Not too bad. Just gonna mute that. Yeah, it's not too bad. A little dark. I did change the color, right? Yes, okay. So it looks a little dark to my eye, but that's just me. But it's not too bad. It's a good starting place. So most people, when they film something with log. And really, Koala, I'm looking at you because I know you use a Sony A7S III or some shit like that. And I know that you have the option of shooting in log. And when I hear people, like Bubby did it in a Rotor Riot video once, where he took it into Premiere. I think he shot on a Blackmagic. He took it into Premiere and he threw on a D-Log LUT. And then he started to get to work on his creative look. And that's really not where you want to go with it. But you also, I mean, you have two options. The way I've always taught this to you guys is don't fuck with the LUTs and D-Log it yourself, right? Work inside the log profile and get the look you want manually. Not everybody has that kind of time, and different cameras react very differently. And so, like, I'm used to GoPros. I'm used to GP log. I can D-Log it by, with my eyes closed. But not all cameras react the same. Not all log profiles are the same. And so sometimes it's just easier to take the D-Log LUT the manufacturer gave you and use that to come back to a normal Rec 709 profile. But the key thing here is when you're using a D-Log LUT, most people will tuck it up. They'll drop it on the first note, and then they'll make additional adjustments after the LUT. But when you work after the LUT, you're working on what's left after the LUT destroyed all the data. So the LUT has discarded a ton of data, and you only get to work with what the LUT has left out. Now, if you don't know what a LUT is, a lot of people look at it like a filter, and it kind of is. But if you took all of the color values and brightness values in an image, and you created a numerical table of those values, what a LUT does is says the value at this column and this row gets +2, right? So it's a modification of that table. And in a good LUT is designed to discard the data that goes out of range. And that's kind of where this comes in. But also to achieve a certain look, LUTs will often discard certain colors or color ranges. And like manufacturer D-Log LUTs are pretty good LUTs. They're 3D cube LUTs, which means their tables they're literally 3D tables. If you took Excel and you took an Excel spreadsheet and then you put another one behind it, then you have column, row, and depth, right? So you have 3 dimensions to address a value. And that's a lot more accurate than a 2D LUT, which is just your basic LUT. But the classical habit is to throw on your D-Log LUT and then do your adjustments. And I kind of want to illustrate here. I've got a special view. Flat and log, I've read what the difference between them are, but do you use the terms interchangeably, and do you treat that roughly the same during grading? Flat is... flat is kind of a marketing wank term. It basically means that no in-camera processing is done. So there's no sharpening, there's no saturation boost, there's no gamma shaping. It's basically what the camera sees. There's no, flat really, to me, means lower saturation, lower contrast. It's kind of like, I don't know. Log actually denotes the gamma profile. So if Rec 709, well, linear is this. So if you pretend that this line right here is a gamma profile, a gamma line, linear is this, Rec 709 is like here, and then log is a logarithmic scale. I'd have to adjust this right here. Don't pay attention to what's happening on this bullshit. I'm just talking about the curve. And basically it puts more stops of the shadows higher up where there's more data in the encoding. That's the point. It's basically to save your shadows, give you a little bit more dynamic range at the cost of a little bit more a little bit more obvious noise in the shadows when you start pushing low light. So let's take a look, and we're going to have to, I've set up a special view for you guys to be able to see exactly what happens, the difference between making your adjustments under the LUT or over the LUT. Most people do it over the LUT. I'm going to tell you to do it under the LUT. So let me switch to that special view here. Okay, so we've got a couple of things here. We've got a 3D cube color plot, which doesn't need to make any sense, but you'll see the difference. And then we have a normal waveform up top. What I really want you to concentrate on the waveform is the shadows and the depth and width of the 3D color plot on the bottom. So if I turn on my post LUT, so what I've done here on these offsets, I've basically taken the offset in the color wheels and boosted and doubled it. So I've essentially increased the exposure by a factor of 2. So when I turn this on, see the image gets really bright, and it's after the LUT, so we can kind of see there's a hard edge. Man, I can't point at it. There's a hard edge at the bottom of the parade there, and you can kind of see that the reds have been clipped out of the highlights. If you look at that 3D color plot, so the reds have been clipped out of the highlight. Now, if I turn that off and I turn the one on, the one before the LUT, you'll see I didn't lose any color information, and I've still got a lot more detail in the shadows. So if you look at the bottom of that parade, there's a little bit more detail. It's kind of hard to see, so I'll flip back and forth here. You see how that kind of has a flat bottom to it, whereas the other one has peaks that jut out? That's the difference, right? So when I'm working on this pre-LUT offset, I'm working on the raw data that came off the camera. So 10-bit, whatever color space it's in. And then my D-log is just, it's part of the process to get out of the logarithmic profile. Most people have been like doing their adjustments after the D-log LUT, and you can see there's less data to work with there. So it's a direct illustration of what I've been kind of kicking and screaming about. And it took me a little bit to kind of put this together, and hopefully it's coming across in a way that's digestible, and I'm not just talking shit into space. But you can very much see the difference in the amount of color data that you have left after boosting it like that, and how much gets tossed away by the LUT. Yeah, the GoPro 12 is the only one that has GP log. Obviously, the 13 will probably, or 14 if they're superstitious, will have GP log. There might be some updates for like the Hero 10 and the Hero 11 to allow it to do GP log. GP log can be done in 8-bit. There's no like encoding requirement. It's just a logarithmic profile. I could, in theory, I could reverse engineer GP log using the LUT that they gave us to create a custom log profile that people could put on the Hero 10 and the Hero 11. So, I mean, that's a possibility. I don't think anybody's bothered to do that. It is very intensive as far as math is concerned. And I'm not a color scientist. I am a math guy, but I'm not a color scientist, and I would probably be the wrong person to reverse engineer a LUT. But when, let me just, we'll switch back over to this other view here. Boop. So when we want to work with our footage, okay, I'm going to delete that one. And I'm just going to delete both these guys. I'll just reset this node. And we'll just get rid of the node label. Okay. So instead of just coming in here, dropping my D-log LUT, hitting a new one, adding some contrast or something like that, this is going to react very differently than if I did this before the LUT. So now if I disconnect this adjustment that I made, so I'll pop this over here, dude. And I'll take that from there, and I'll pop that right there. It's a little bit more flexible. We've got a lot more data in the shadows, as you can see, kind of by my head and my fucking little guys in the way. So when you're going to use a LUT, and this was geared a lot towards people who use cameras with log profiles. So Hero 12 was obvious, but like any Sony camera worth its weight has several log profiles. Panasonic, Canon, Nikon, they've all got these fancy log profiles, and I think all of them have D-Log LUTs that are provided by the manufacturer that are designed to reverse that logarithmic profile into a Rec 709 gamma curve. Basically make it look normal, right? When you use those LUTs, put it all the way at the other end and then work underneath it. Okay, so that's what I mean by working underneath the LUT. So my LUT is there. Everything I do happens before the LUT takes place. So if I boost saturation, right? I mean, the world is your oyster. You could address it how you normally address it, but just do it underneath the LUT and you'll have a little bit more success. So this is a lot easier in terms of having to work with that gamma curve. Because like while I take log footage and I just work with it directly, this is a lot easier because you don't need as many adjustments. So like for instance, I'll take the film look creator, and now I'm firmly using the Resolve 19 features because it's finally out now. So if you haven't upgraded, you should. And if you don't have the studio version, I feel bad for you. So I'll just clean slate that guy. And then the photometric exposure is super nice. So I can kind of boost exposure there, add some contrast. And this is happening under the LUT. I'll fade the shadows a bit. Don't need to worry about white balance. We'll do some subtractive saturation and then bleach pie pass, which will give it kind of a crispy look. And then my favorite is split tone. I will crank up the amount so I can see it perfectly, and then I'll adjust the pivot until my shadows are tinted and my highlights are tinted just how I want. And then I'll bring that back down and then add a little vignette on there for giggles and Bob's your uncle. It's being a little bit difficult there. Actually, I think I need to do that. Just turning off my scope display node. So a little easier with a LUT to do those adjustments, right? So just put the LUT at the end, right? Now let's take another tack. Okay, let's say you don't want to fuck with adjustments. Let's say you're in a hurry. Now this is for those people who really should be watching this stream, who are interested in learning how to do what they see the LUTs do. So I'm going to reset the grade on this node here, and I'm going to reset the grade on this node. So I have two empty nodes. I'm going to take, I'm not going to do any adjustments. I'm going to take my D-Log LUT first, drop it on there, and then, yeah, under equals before. On top means after. So now that I've dropped my D-Log LUT on the footage, on the node after that, I'm going to drop a creative LUT. And in the case of like normal Rec 709 footage, like some shit that came off your phone or DJI or something like that, you obviously wouldn't use a D-Log LUT, but same principle applies. So you can pretend for normal footage that this node doesn't exist. But here I will go and use one of my 1 billion fucking creative LUTs that I never use. That are all designed for Rec 709. That's another thing. Not all LUTs work in all color spaces. If I were working on an HDR timeline, these LUTs would do some really bizarre shit. I would have to do manual color transforms into Rec 709, which is different than using a LUT. I'm not losing any information. I'm just adjusting the gamma real quick back to the Rec 709 and the color gamut real quick back to Rec 709, apply the LUT, and then come back. Now, once I use the LUT, I've destroyed the color. But if I do all of my adjustments underneath that, if I'm going to make adjustments, then it's still okay. Hey, Lambo, what's up, dog? Good to see you. I gotta get you here. So here I'm going to take one of these ridiculous LUTs. Um, yeah, they're pretty intense. Oh, that's the Instagram special right there. Okay, so I got two LUTs. Um, Probably for a creative LUT, you don't usually want to use it at 100%. So I'll come to the key here, and I will take the qualifier down. Is that it? No, that's not it. The output, yeah, take the output gain down, just to kind of modulate how much of that LUT you have in your scene. And like, if this is good, you're good, right? If it's a look you want, fucking freak on, little monster. And I did no adjustments, but I still maintained as much. Like if I need to make a little tweak, I do add node, add serial before. Like if I want to bring up the contrast or the exposure a little bit, I just pop that up a little bit, maybe add a little bit mid-tone detail. And I'm working with the most data possible. So, Lambo, you got to put someone's name after attack. Hey, XE, what's up, bud? Good to see you, man. So that's really like the tried and true rules of using LUTs. Now, this kind of concept applies whether your LUT is really high quality and like a D-log LUT from a manufacturer. Those tend to be very high quality. Or if it's some bullshit you bought off Instagram, some dickhead's fucking LUT pack. It's the same concept. You can work underneath a shitty LUT and still get a good image. You just got to make sure, one, you don't want to have 100% on your LUT because that's not going to be fun. North equals Duluth. But you can get decent looking footage with very little effort. If that's your thing. But if you're, this is, like I said, this is more geared towards, I was really hoping Koala was going to be on because he and I were chatting about shooting log on a Sony. He dropped that amazing footage on us last week. Totally blew me away. Yeah, this whole thing kind of popped in my head since nobody had any suggestions for topics in the chat. D's LUTs, that's faux show. Now, reverse engineering this, you really need to be a color scientist to reverse engineer a LUT. It'd be great because there's some really great creative LUTs out there. And I'd love to be able to take them apart and see how they work. And that's like, when I share a look with somebody, I don't share a LUT, I share a power grade, which is essentially a saved node tree that they can apply in their own timeline on their clips. I think, Lambo, did I share a node tree with you? I'm not sure if I did or not. I did with Falconrad, and I think he just started getting into Resolve, so I hope he still has access to that because I don't have it anymore. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, like, this was pretty short and sweet. Do you guys have any questions about LUTs? And before anybody asks, yes, I do have a fuck ton of LUTs. I have a lot of creative LUTs. I have a lot of technical LUTs. Do I use them? Not really. Not unless a client specifically asks for that look and I can't regenerate that. Yeah, LUTs do suck. Some are better than others. But in general, if you work underneath them, you'll... oh, hey, what's up, bud? Wilbert! Good to see you. Yeah. Although, Will, you're seeing the shit I don't do. This is more of just how LUTs work, and if you're gonna use them, if you have to do it right. I mean, obviously everybody knows I hate LUTs. I think LUTs are for babies. If you can't get a good look without a LUT, even with log footage, what are you really doing with your life? Yeah, apparently I was really, really pleased with that flight. But, yeah. Any questions about ye old LUTs? Now, I could go on about applying LUTs within different color spaces that requires manual color space transforms and manual color settings in Resolve. A little bit beyond of what you guys are probably doing. This is more like if you're working with Arri Alexa or Red footage. I don't even work with Arri Alexa and Red footage anymore. So, you know, but it's the same kind of idea. To get to maintain the most data integrity, the signal integrity of your video, you want to work under anything that's destructive. LUTs are always destructive. They're never additive. So you're not going to get extra data from a LUT. You're always going to lose data from a LUT. You want my LUTs? You can't have my LUTs. I'll send you the LUTs that come in Resolve. So like, here's an interesting thing. Let's take this back a notch here. So get rid of that adjustment. I'll get rid of the D-log LUT. Get rid of all the notes. Holy shit. Why is it up there? Okay. So let's say like my end goal, this time I'm not going to use the D-log LUT for GoPro. If my end goal is to have an Arri film look or like a Kodak emulation, a film emulation look, there's a whole bunch of film emulation looks that come with Resolve, right? They're designed to look like a specific kind of film stock. Again, if you're not in Rec 709 or like DCI-P3, so that's more for HDR. If you're not in Rec 709, you'd have to do a manual like bracket of color space transforms to use the LUT. So you'd have to go from whatever color space that your timeline is in into Rec 709, apply the LUT, then go from Rec 709 back to your timeline color space. But in this case, we're in Rec 709, so we don't have to do that. So I'm going to take this, drop it on here. Okay, so now I've got my film look, but we're still in a log profile. So a LUT pick. You guys are gross. Serial before, and I will begin adjusting to kind of D-log. A little bit. And I'll do my second node where I take my log wheel and just kind of smush the highlights down a little bit. Maybe not quite so much. Bring my midtones down. And we'll dump the shadows a tiny bit. So doing all these things underneath this film emulation LUT, which is essentially just a creative LUT, just like we were talking, right? But it's not designed to create, it's not the whole look, right? It's supposed to sit on top of your look to give it just that little extra to make it look like, I don't know, what is it? Kodak 2383 with D60 white point. So if I were to switch this, changes the white point a little bit, makes it a little bit cooler. What in the world is my mouse doing? Holy. There we go. I got one of these newfangled fucking, damn thing looks like it's going to transform into a semi-truck. These newfangled mice with like, it's got pressure sensitive buttons on it. And I think it's got like 15 buttons or some shit. Really great mouse, just really easy to hit all the buttons at once with these big fucking sausage fingers. So, yeah. Let's see, we'll go back here. We want to take the gamma down. Pop the shadows a bit. Which one is, okay, yeah, so. Why do I have two of these? Did it get copied? I don't fucking wonder. Oh, yeah, one was, yeah, okay, never mind. Shut up. Shut up, Joe. Yeah, so there we go. Listen. So, like, I'm not sure I understand your question, Bart. Anytime you're working over a LUT, you're working on less data than what came off your camera. It's as simple as that. The adjustments that you make only apply to the data that gets shit out of the LUT. So if there's extra data, if you're trying to recover shadows from a delogged image, like in the case of GoPro, if you're trying to recover the darker shadows, it's already thrown away anything that's too dark to see. So there's nothing else to pull out of it. So the rule of thumb is you always want to work under your LUTs. Flat file, same thing. Flat is just, I don't know, it's marketing wank, dude. Does that make sense? Okay. Still trying to figure out how Hex he's got a sidekick and an egg on his head. He knows something I don't. You got the extension or something for this horseshit that I'm using? Is that why you get a different dude? I don't even get a different dude. And also, as always, other than D-Log LUTs, which you always want to have 100% applied because that's what they're for, creative LUTs are almost never, even film emulation LUTs are almost never, you never want to have them 100% on the output. Oh my God. Okay. Busted a LUT. Adorable. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, quips, queries? This will be kind of a short one this week. We're at the top of the hour. I got to feed my dog. Want to make sure I can address any small questions. Da, da, da. There's a whole typing thing too. Got to wait that out. Tried to reduce the latency. We only got like 15 seconds of latency. But I got to wait for you to... Oh yeah, Will. Thanks, Bart. Appreciate that. Yeah, well, I don't know how much of these you've been watching, but I decided, because I bitch and complain about other people's videos, especially in the drone world, that are, in my opinion, kind of half-assed or just they do nothing to them. And instead of just being somebody who complains, I try to be part of the solution. So, been teaching color grading for, how long has it been, Bart? It's been a while, right? I know the 8-week color grading 101 took like 12 weeks because we kept breaking down into other shit. Oh, that's cool, man. Well, I'm glad you were able to drop in Will. So Will is a good friend of mine. We go way back. I think I met him, I was like 12 or 13, maybe 14. Yeah, 14, 15. Didn't meet you until after we were in high school. But we go way back. So it's cool to see him in here. Blending the worlds. 7 months, yeah, give or take. I've had, obviously there was June, which I didn't have a stream in June. And then there's been little fits and spurts here where I haven't been able to stream from one thing or another. So, but yeah, just, you know, GoPro log, and then do a node before, just Shift S, not Alt S. So, and then I just kind of, let's get the gamma up, drop the shadows down a little more, add some contrast, pivot that pitch down, get some midtone detail, and then I'll do my log highlight, squish, get not so much. And yeah, you know, it's all right. It wasn't the greatest like day. It wasn't the greatest scene for Not a good example video for color grading because it was just gray as fuck. So you can kind of see what happens in this area here after the LUT's been applied. You can see there's some banding there. You can tell there's already some discarded data. I'm not sure how well that's coming across on the stream, but yeah. Anyway, that's LUTs, guys. I'm Joe. This has been Called to Color. All that happy horse shit. Get your ideas into the Discord. Think of something you want to learn more about, even if it's something we've already been over, and drop it in as a topic suggestion for next week, and we will crush that shit. Cool? Cool. Okay, guys. Anyway, appreciate everybody who stopped in. Appreciate the videos, and I hope the folks that I just sort of stole their shit and didn't warn them appreciate being played on the stream. And I see Will's got a special guide too. That's really cool. Fusion. Do you want to learn Fusion? Well, I want to learn Fusion also. I can give you guys a little tour of Fusion, but I am by no means a Fusion expert. Like, I can do some visual effects, but color is my shit. So you might be asking the wrong guy for visual effects, but there are some things in Fusion that can be done that you can't do in the other tabs. So maybe we can spend some time. I'll try to come up with something easy that's applicable that you guys might be able to do in your workflow with Fusion. So maybe like pinning text to objects and things like that. Some tracking stuff. I could teach you how to do a whole camera solve and import 3D object into your scene, which I've done, and you've seen some of the shit I've done. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, see you next time. Okay, love you. Bye. Beep. Seriously? Seriously. Okay.